Hey there! Today we're going to be talking about the Montblanc Writer's Edition, homage to the brothers Grimm. And I thought it would be appropriate to start this video with a short story. Brothers Grimm. Once upon a time, there was a short story. The end. Now, this is a writer's edition. You know those are limited. Not that limited though. There's 9,800 of these. They're very expensive. This one is 917 euros without VAT. But there's also a lot of very nice details on this pen honoring the brothers Grimm. So I'm going to cover the parts of the pen. I'll do a writing sample and I'll tell you what I like and what I don't like about it. But first of all, a very kind thank you to Joost Appelboom for lending me this pen. Let's get started. Alright, here we go with the Montblanc Writer's Edition homage to the brothers Grimm. Let's look at the box first. This is the outer box. Very careful. Quadruple M, my main man Murray has already purchased this, so I want to make sure I more or less leave this in one piece for him. The fun thing about the Writer's Editions is that they come in these boxes. If only one could get them out. Oh dear. Yeah, I may have messed that up. You know what? I'm gonna let Murray finish that up, or solve that. So there is this sort of protector thing in it, and then the actual box looks like a book, which I think is very nice for a writer's edition. Here we have the brothers Grimm, the signatures of the brothers. Montblanc Writer's Edition, homage. We have the little pen condom. We have this very cozy bed for the pen. And we have an extensive booklet. These editions typically come with very extensive booklets, very nicely illustrated with everything they've tried to put on the pen. I will try to cover some of the main things that I think are very interesting, but I also don't want to keep you here forever. So I'll just try to show off some of the things that I thought were highlights of the pen. Let me zoom in. So it's a substantial pen. You can tell when you compare it to a Pilot Métropolitain. It's a big pen, people. So what can I say about this? First, quick sip of tea to lubricate the throat, and then here we go. This is, of course, a Montblanc, so it's not a $5 pen. 917 euros and 36 cents. This is without VAT, and that's pretty much all that's to it. The silhouette of the pen is meant to resemble an old hiking stick. Black is the color of the black woods, which are the main stage of many of the fairy tales of the brothers Grimm. We have this wave-like pattern on the cap and on the barrel that is inspired by Rapunzel's hair, while also resembling roots, because the brothers Grimm considered their the research they did into local fairy tales to be research into the roots of local folklore. We have here, I just saw it, we have one signature of one of the brothers, and here is the signature of the other brother. I don't know how well you can see it, but take my word for it, engraved in there is that those signatures. It is a limited edition. It says here 7,176 out of 9,800. I'm not sure how limited almost 10,000 pens really make a pen, but I leave that just out there up for debate. We have a platinum coated clip, which is a knobby piece of wood, and what I found really quite nice is that it actually has the profile of the brothers' faces in there if you turn it the right way, which I do think is a very nice touch. It's just well thought through. Sometimes with these kinds of editions, Montblanc tacks on a lot of things, and I think these are all pretty meaningful things, so that's really nicely done, I think. Then we have here in a lovely Gothic writing on this end cap, Kinder und Hausmärchen, children's and like home fairy tales, like house fairy. I don't know how to really translate that better, like what you would tell in the home is my interpretation. And then it says 12, 18, 12 for the first edition of their book. It's a medium nib. I do like this this piston turning knob. It is indeed like the end that you would find on a hiking pole, and there is so much to see. I think these were the major things, but we may run across a couple more as we cover the parts of the pen. So we have the Montblanc logo on top, of course, the 6 sides of the Montblanc, or as we say, the Montblanc, because if I say Montblanc, I always get corrected that I pronounce it weird. So let's pronounce it the correct way then, Montblanc. After all, English is the only language in the world. Then here we have Göttingen, and it says 1838 to 1971. We have here on the back end Montblanc. I do like what looks to be ruthenium. That darker metal I think works very nicely. We have the black material there, which I think is nice. We have an R there, and here we have Es war einmal. Es war einmal. Once upon a time, which is a nice detail as well. The whole shape of the pen I think is quite nice. It does look a bit knurled, and I do think that's just it's a very, very nice touch. Like I said, this end cap, the piston turning knob, I think is a nice shape as well. The pen unscrews in about a turn and a half, and then we have this the nib. Sorry, I was at a loss for words. I don't know why. It has flames on it because that represents the folklore being passed around a campfire, which I thought was a nice touch as well. And then it says 2022 Montblanc because it was a special edition. We have the feed, we have the nib. It's a nice pen, larger pen without being obscenely large, and it does not want to post. So there you have it, lot of details, lot of monies. Now, writing with this pen, I'm going to need a little bit more space than that, but maybe I can do it. We have here the Montblanc Brothers Grimm. We have this with an 18K medium nib, and we have Waterman Blue in it because, again, I need to return this. I want to put in an ink that I can also kind of get rid of without having to wash a piston filler out for 10 hours straight. I'll shut up so you can listen to the nib. Really quite nice. Smooth, with just a touch of feedback to let you know you're using a fountain pen. Should you wonder what this monster stuff is, this is a triple broad Scribo for review coming up. It's nicely tuned. It's not too wet, it's not too dry. I think it's a nice, like I said, nicely tuned nib. Line variation, pretty stiff nib, but it's also not advertised as anything flexy or anything, so I think that's perfectly acceptable. Reverse writing gets pretty scratchy. I can feel the nib dig into the paper. It doesn't really like that. And that's pretty much all there's to it, isn't it? Very nice writer. So, where's the cap? Let's talk about what I like and what I don't like about this pen. What do I like and what do I not like about this pen? The writer's editions I think are nice because Montblanc does try to put in a lot of detail that honors the specific writer the pen is an homage to. They're not for everyone, and I do think that sometimes it works better than at other times. If I were to design a Brothers Grimm pen, I might have gone with something a bit more recognizable as a specific Grimm fairy tale, But I do think they've come up with a very nice pen. It's a solid pen, it feels solid in hand, it's very pleasant to use, it's a very nice writer, it's a good size, and I do think that the details that were put in are very nice details. And as a result, I think it is certainly worth adding to a collection. If you collect writer's editions, of course, then you kind of should. But also if you have particular affinity with the Brothers Grimm, there are really nice details in it. And I think it's a very nice writer. So that to me is always the most important part. Does the pen write properly? Although there are some interesting wavy things on here, I found nothing to be particularly sharp except for the threads. You do feel them a little bit. That could be an issue for people with sensitive hands. But beyond that, it's a solid writer. It does everything it's supposed to do. The biggest downside, I think, is not the design, but as usual with these pens, is the price. Over 900 euros makes it a very expensive piece. And that's just the way it is. It's also limited. Like I said, not that limited, but it is limited. It's Montblanc. You know it's not going to be a $5 pen. So if you take that into account, I think that's where we're at. That's what we have. Let me know what you think about the pen, and maybe what your favorite Grimm's fairy tale is. I always find that interesting to read. So please do that. A very kind thank you to Joost Appelboom for sending me the pen. I appreciate it. Sorry, lending me the pen. One letter makes a difference. And that's all there is to it. I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye.